Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hey!
This week, we'll be doing the horror classic, a new classic, The Conjuring, with Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, Ron Livingston. It's an all-star. Lily Taylor. All-star cast from stem to stern, if you know what I'm saying.
From stem to stern is correct. But before we go into that, we were having some familial discussions. I don't know if you've noticed in the past, listeners, I guess, you're not viewers.
Unless you're outside my window.
Sometimes, I don't know why, but Crazy Kevin, when he's talking, it sounds like while he's talking. And he discovered it's because he has a goatee. Apparently, he's had it for 15 years, but in my mind, he doesn't have it.
First of all, a goatee? I'm not familiar with that particular expression. A goatee? I have facial hair, is what we're trying to say. I don't know what a goatee is.
I mean, are you literally, you have the microphone up your upper lip? I mean, do you have a Yosemite Sam? What kind of a mustachio do you have that causes the microphone to just lose its mind? I mean, I've got a mustache just because I'm 50, but I don't hear any of that.
Well, no, basically now I'm just holding the microphone close to my mouth as opposed to strapping it to my face.
I don't know if you know this, but you can actually buy a microphone.
I bought a microphone and it was all popping and crazy. So this is what you get, and you don't get upset.
Are you? You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. I believe is how we say it at the high school level.
You get what you get. And you don't throw a fit.
And now, once again, why are you so late calling me when it was going to be at 2:00 and now it's near midnight?
Well, and I said this earlier. Basically, I was home doing chores all morning, and Aaron didn't become available until like 2:00 in the afternoon. At which point, my wife comes home and says, "Hey, let's all take the kids out. We'll go to a movie and then go to dinner." I can't say, sorry, hon. I got a podcast to record.
Aaron says no.
Aaron says no. I can't drop that.
Let's drop a pin on your family dynamics for a moment, and let's pull up the movie that you just saw, The Irishman as a Dog. Go ahead. Tell me how fantastic it is.
We saw The Call of the Wild, which, when the final credits roll, little Lucy jumped out of her seat and said, "Finally!"
Exactly. First of all, why do you need to CGI the dog? That tells me they're trying to make this dog do things that dogs don't do.
Well, you're not allowed to use cattle prods on them anymore.
Oh my God!
You can't do that stuff.
Or you could just train them with treats like they do in other movies. Are you telling me they were shoving a cattle prod up Benji's ass? I mean, what the heck?
Pretty much. That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Get out of here. People
BJ and the bear, that's what they did. Poor little
Craig Evigan personally sodomized the bear. That's very sad.
These are very topical references.
I'm saying, you can train a dog. I mean, I'm a girl, so clearly I never read Call of the Wild, and I couldn't give an F about dogs, so even less reason to watch it. But what exactly did the dog have to do that no actual dog could do?
Well, the dog is the star of the movie,
right?
So it's a lot of like everything it's doing. I mean, it's easier just to create CGI the dog than train him to do 10,000 different little tasks, including pulling sleds and.
This book is more than 100 years old. So what exactly did the dog have to fly a plane? I mean, what exactly did Jack London have this dog do that, like I said, couldn't be done by a dog?
I'm just saying, look, I'm neither a dog trainer or a computer programmer.
But I play one on TV.
Reason, pretty much. No, the sad thing about this movie, and ladies and gentlemen,
besides how it looked terrible.
We will eventually talk about The Conjuring, but just to put a bow on this, like the first half of the movie, Harrison Ford is just the narrator, and that was the best part of the movie, sadly.
Harrison Ford is 97 years old.
Do you know what's funny? We're getting in the car to go, and I go, Lucy, Harrison Ford's in this movie, thinking, because I've made her watch Indiana Jones and all the Star Wars movies, and she's like, isn't that the guy that invented the automobile?
Well, she's got the Ford down. That's something.
I said close enough.
Close enough.
Moving on. Okay, so Aaron, well, before we get to this, we jumped some guns here. Go ahead and go to our page on Facebook at the Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Email us at the Podcast That Wouldn't Die at Gmail. And like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., etc. And Aaron, you have your own personal Twitter account you like people to respond to.
I do like, and I wish they would respond to it. The Cult of Aaron. Cult of. I don't even remember if it's a dot or not, but the Cult of Aaron.
Good luck. If you can find it, kudos to you. And what we were saying is, I was talking to my daughter, Grace, and she's like, I'd like to listen to your podcast. We do a lot of movies that no one's ever heard of. So I said, well, what movies would you like us to do? And the first on her list was
The Conjuring. And why not? Because The Conjuring is stellar.
It is dynamite. Give us the quick synopsis of The Conjuring.
All right. As always happens, people with a young family move into a house they got for a special price, only to discover demonic forces wants to attack one of their children. They bring in some folks to rid the house of them. Oh no, it's now attached to you. Blah blah blah. They're exorcised the house. Everybody's fine. Nobody dies. The end.
The end.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Good times. Oh my God. So, if you buy a house and there's a jacked up looking haunted tree, what we've learned from Poltergeist is you need to immediately go to the Yellow Pages and get Joe the Tree Man with his chainsaw over to your house and saw that damn thing down. I wouldn't even take it for firewood. Have Joe the Tree Man haul it away, because no good will come of that.
Basically.
And what I was asking you, isn't it Insidious? Isn't there also a jacked up tree with like 3 people hanging from it?
There's a lot of tree hanging going on in these movies. Well, Insidious, I believe, is made by the same people who made the Conjuring movies.
Insidious was a more disturbing. This one is just a good haunted house story.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Now, it is supposedly based upon a true story. Basically, it's the Warrens, and I can't remember their first names. I want to say Elizabeth Warren and Diane Warren, but
it's
Earl
Elizabeth Warren and Earl Warren.
They help out when they can, and they were real like demonologists or ghost hunters from back in the day. Now,
back in my high school occult days, when you would go to the library to their special occult section before the internet.
Right. So this is
Hans Holzer and the Warrens.
It's
the Warren Commission. I think that's where they get
they get the name from. It's Ed and Lorraine.
Yeah,
Warren,
Ed and Lorraine. I
famous...
like to think that Elizabeth Warren has a part of this. Is she their daughter?
She helps out whenever she can. Okay,
I think she's actually old enough to be their daughter. So yeah, we're gonna send that out. This is in fact Elizabeth Warren is in fact their daughter.
Could be.
Is that why you voted for Elizabeth Warren?
That's why I voted for her. Sweet Lauren. But so they were evidently involved in anytime anybody said, "Oh, I'm possessed, my house is haunted," they showed up on the doorstep to help out. Anytime through like the 70s and the 80s, they were handling their biz evidently.
Oh, they were rocking their line until they died. I mean, she died in her 90s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still talking the talk.
So now this movie opens up on the now legendary Annabelle doll. Right? It's like late 60s. It's like, 2 nursing students moved into an apartment and there's a crazy old doll terrifying, chewed up doll there, and they're like, "Oh, it's haunted." It's like, why did you bring the doll with you, or did you just decide to keep the horrible doll there for no
And
reason?
what's the deal? I personally believe that if it was just like a regular doll, it would be more scary. They always want to make these dolls like the Chucky and this Annabelle look so creepy. When in reality, a regular doll in itself is creepy. One of those just regular porcelain dolls, like those ones I tried to give your children.
Now, I believe this is based upon a real occurrence. But
the real
Ann,
Annabelle
right?
was a Raggedy Ann, yeah.
Raggedy Ann, and they thought, and I guess they could have used a Raggedy Ann for this, but they chose not to. Like you said, they went and got a jacked up doll from the Salvation Army.
Clearly, with like a crazy smile. I mean, really? If I brought that to your house, would you even let me walk in with it? Of course it's possessed. Of course it's possessed. What you want is like a freaking Barbie doll, one of those Bratz dolls. That, like a Trilogy of Terror coming around at you with a little ding, 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 ding. That's what you want.
Well, it's so bizarre.
The things that you have in your everyday life that go crazy. That's far scarier than a crazy doll that looks like a demon.
Whatever you say, but if I'm moving into a new apartment, there's a crazy doll there. The doll's hitting the bricks. Or I'm getting a new apartment. If they're like, "Sorry, sir, the doll comes with it," I might go somewhere else.
They invited the ghost girl to live inside the doll. Why are we having these conversations? No. Go next door.
You do not
Get
invite
out.
the ghost creature. Well, this is what they say. And literally, they're like, now we think the demon or the ghost is in the doll. But Ed and Lorraine go like, no, because these demons don't possess objects. They possess people.
So
right?
then why does this stupid doll have to be locked up? And then what was the whole point of the Annabelle movie? That's because these spin-offs are bull crappy.
That's exactly right. I mean, Annabelle pops up a few more times in this movie. Then it spawned like 2 or 3 Annabelle movies.
Don't even. I got a whole lot of parenting angry things to say about the Warrens, but
we'll hit that in the behind the scenes.
No. This is part of the movie. My rage.
Oh,
so
your rage.
Okay.
So yeah, smash cut to a not that young a couple, but like a normal.
They
age
could
couple.
be the Lutzes. It could be the Lutzes,
Amityville Horror style, with 5 daughters.
Yeah,
that house was already possessed. If you got 5 daughters,
so they're all cycling together with one against 6.
You've got to spray some holy water or burn some sage or something. Just with those
the power
kids.
of Christ compels you.
So they move, like you say, they move into this hideous mansion, dingy as hell, looking like the Psycho house on Universal
If you
Studios.
can't afford to have your house at least painted, you can't afford the house.
For Rizzle.
I said that to the Lutzes. So
you said that? Did you?
I said that to the Lutzes. I said to whatever the hell these people's last names are, don't be house poor. Don't be house poor. Don't get in over your head.
So they play this game called, what is it? Blind and Clap or something like that?
I think it's Blind Man's Bluff.
But they had a name for it because it's basically Marco Polo on land where you blindfold yourself and wander through a house you've never been in before with multiple staircases. And say,
we start on the 3rd floor and see where we end up.
It was a death trap. It was bad. You knew something bad was going to happen, and literally,
it was the 70s. That's just how we did things back in the day. That's why you have 5 kids. You could afford to lose a couple.
It's true. You drank while you were pregnant. You did not buckle your seatbelts back.
You got the air to spare. That's all you need.
That's all you need. So they are playing this game, and then in the course of the game, they crash into the closet, and there's like a boarded up doorway leading down to the cellar, right? Which is full of all sorts of interesting old antiques and junk and things like that. What I kept thinking to myself is, oh, the boiler's down there and it was boarded up? So what was your plan to heat this GD place? No.
How about the fact that if you're buying a house, wouldn't you have some kind of a walkthrough? Isn't there an inspection process? I don't
Not
know. I don't
not in
remember what
72.
state. I don't know what state this is, but usually you want to check out the plumbing, the electrical. I don't know.
This is New England in the early 70s. It was the Wild Wild West. There
It was
no
a lawless. It
inspections.
was the lawless state.
You better believe it. So,
Yeah.
but then I kept thinking of like there are movies that you watch like Amityville Horror where it's like, you know, the secret area
They
is boarded
also
up.
didn't. Yeah, they also didn't do a good inspection.
You're telling me. But there are places boarded up, and there's a reason why they're boarded up. There really wasn't like, oh, well, there was demonic sacrifices going on in the basement.
There was a demonic boiler, and
right.
Yeah,
There's really no explanation why it was boarded. I mean, granted, the whole house is kind of effed up, but it's not like anything specific happened in the basement that I'm aware of. Did you notice anything? I don't know.
I did that. There was more going on in the Babadook. And in fact, this has some Babadook connections, I think.
The Babadook.
The Babadook.
Oh, sweet Lord. I loved when they first walked in the door, the husband and wife were like, hey, we got to christen this place. I think they've christened too many places. They got 5 daughters so far.
That's
How
right.
many more you need?
I'm pretty sure there was birth control at that point in the 70s. I think Loretta Lynn had already sung her song, The Pill. But do you have issues with Lily Taylor? Because I certainly do.
Like, issues in what sense? What's your, you just don't like her?
I hate Lily Taylor. I'm sure she's a good, lovely friend to all, but
friend.
she always is like she's got some kind of brain damage.
Oh,
and she's like a victim waiting to happen.
I don't know.
She brings the bully out in me. She brings the bully out in me. I've seen her movies. You know, she's in High Fidelity. Obviously, a good friend with the Cusack, but and a Mystic Pizza and all.
Say anything?
Exactly,
yep.
But I just
no thanks.
I'd push her down the stairs. I think I don't.
You would have let her be possessed. Is what you're trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is she's the same character in everything she plays, so I have to imagine that's actually her. You know, like Costner.
Interesting.
Costner's always Costner. Lily Taylor's always Lily Taylor. Okay. Sometimes she's possessed. But I have to imagine then that is your personality.
I mean, no one's accusing her of being Meryl Streep or somebody, but she's fine. I don't have any issues. Whatever.
You don't have a secret burning rage like I do. I'm like, oh, Lily Taylor.
She's not. Not really. Sad to say.
All right.
Okay. So things obviously are going wrong in those kind of typical fashions where it's like all the clocks stop at the same time at like 3 o'clock in the morning. The creepiest thing in the movie.
You know what? The clock in my classroom is always off. Do you think my classroom is possessed?
I think you're possessed, frankly. Things don't get possessed. Only people do. There you have it. But the creepiest thing, and I remember the first time I saw this like a year ago, I was laying in bed. My wife's asleep next to me. All the lights are off. I've got my tablet open, so I'm watching it in the dark. In bed, and there's that scene where somebody's pulling on her feet like an unseen force.
Oh, that is every childhood nightmare.
That was scary for me. I'm a grown man. I'm like, what is happening? I'm putting my feet underneath the covers and, gritting my teeth. That was a creepy moment. That's creepy.
You know what? I often stick my leg out of the covers. Like I'll get hot, so I'll stick like one leg out to neutralize. And I still think about that.
Don't do it.
I was a super fearful, I don't know, little known fact, because you were not hatched from the egg yet, but I was a super fearful child. Couldn't sleep through the night. Always had nightmares. And putting your foot down, wondering if someone's going to grab your foot under the bed. I remember running and jumping. Yep. It would have been just easier just to put my bed on the ground. That way there's no monsters underneath the bed.
Right. You run from the bathroom and jump in the bed.
Why is it this universal generational fear of the thing under the bed?
Because you can't see in the dark. It's the fear of the dark, fear of the unknown. It's very primordial.
Now I feel scared right now.
It is terrifying.
It's too much.
It is terrifying.
Yeah, but absolutely, the idea that something's going to grab your leg.
Right. When you least expect it. You
Uh-huh.
better believe it. Yeah, there's a lot of those like really scary moments in this. You know, there's a sleepwalking girl who goes into the room and bangs her head against the door.
Did that bring trigger special PTSD in you?
But I didn't notice it until I was, sleepwalking across my room, banging my head against the wall. Then I remember, oh yeah, I remember. That rings some bells for me. So and then Lily Taylor is getting bruises on her body, like a weird hand bruise forming on her arm. The little girl.
Come on, wouldn't her doctor call the police? It wouldn't be this. I'm like, you have an iron deficiency. It'd be like, we think something domestic is going on here. 911.
Again, this is 1972. That was just called.
I guess so. That's just handling your business. Keeping your wife from getting above herself.
That's
oh my God.
Oh, sweet Jesus. So yeah, there's no iron deficiency going on in the house, evidently. the husband is a long haul trucker who's like, yeah, hon, I'm getting, we had to sell our old place and move down here, I guess for financial reasons. Is that what it is? I'll be gone for a week hauling, I don't know what. Pork bellies.
We don't have money,
right?
But we have 5 children, and we've had to buy a mansion.
Yes.
To support ourselves. Nothing more I would like than to be basically a single parent with 5 children out in the country. That sounds fantastic.
That's the thing. It's like this is 72. It's like you could have a 1-income family. An itinerant, long haul trucker.
With your husband gone all the time and you with 5 kids.
I mean, he might as well be hauling Coors with Smokey and the Bandit at this point. I mean,
just some good old boys.
Exactly.
Never meet at no home.
That's how they did back in the day. Sweet Lord. So you're right. He's gone when all the craziness starts going down, basically. The little daughter is playing the blind clapping game with who knows who, because Lily Taylor is blindfolded. She's going through trying to play the game, and her hands coming out of the closet clapping. That was a creepy moment, too.
There was some good creepy stuff.
There were some good creepy moments.
I mean, this movie has a lot of Amityville in it.
It does.
And the Warrens were involved with Amityville, too. So
yes.
I wonder if this is like Amityville Light.
It is kind of like that.
I mean, this is a better movie than Amityville Horror, either version or the book.
Well, and that's the thing about this movie. I don't want to spill too many of the beans, but it's like literally there is nothing. There's really no bad language. There's no nudity. There's really no violence.
It's a ghost story.
It's a ghost story. It is a very effective one.
I agree. It is scary. It is creepy.
Yes.
It leaves you uneasy. And it doesn't have any of the weird problematic things of Amityville. Jody the pig. Why is a pig on the 3rd story looking in the frickin' window?
I'm going to the mat for Jody the pig creature. That if you're not expecting it, oh Jody, I'm talking to Jody, and then it cuts to the scary eyes looking through the window. That was scary to me. When
I read Amityville at junior high, it was scary. I still make Jody references to this day. If I walk in, there's too many flies. If there's flies in the house, I'm like Amityville.
For reals. I call my students Jody. They don't even know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. I'm like, you and your Jody eyes, get away from me. and I told you this during the Jaws when we were reviewing that I used to think Amityville and Amity, where Jaws' film, were the same town.
Same place.
A jacked part of town. I'm like, we just got to stay away from New England.
Don't do it. Well, yeah. Let's get back to the Conjuring. So all these things, one thing goes after another. There is that moment when Lily Taylor wakes up at 3:00 in the morning, wandering through the house. Pictures are flying off the walls, crashing, and I'm just like, is no one going to wake up? There's 6 other people in the house. No one's waking up except Lily Taylor as picture frames smashing on the stairs. Good
I
grief.
don't know if you know this, but my son plays video games with noise-canceling headphones, and I have literally locked my keys out, and I'm banging and kicking on the door. I'm waiting for the neighbors to start coming out, and nobody can hear me until I eventually have to either walk around the house and bang on the glass in his room or turn the power off.
I've literally, this is getting deep. There are certain rooms in this house, I swear to God, are like psycho houses where it's like no one can hear me. So it's like, but I can hear everything. It's like that weird thing where it's like I'm sitting on the pot. This is probably more than you need to know. People are going, Kevin, Kevin, and I'm like, I'm here. What? No response. Kevin, where are you? I'm in here.
I like that. Now you got to put the Alexa in the turlet. Alexa, make an announcement. I'm on the can.
And it is literally like the phones are ringing. Kevin, get that. I can't get it. Somebody's knocking at the door. Kevin, answer the phone. I can't answer the phone. Give me a minute. No, they can't hear me. They cannot hear me.
This is like in the Freddy Krueger movies where you run down the hall and all of a sudden it stretches out forever and you're way in the back. Well, that's like sound for you.
That's like Tuesday for me. That's how it works. That's how we do it in this house. I don't know maybe my house is haunted too. Who the hell knows?
Or at least just the master toilet is.
Pretty much. Wah, 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 wah. Okay, so the husband's out driving, doing whatever he's doing, driving, and there's that scene. Oh man, when it turns it up, it turns it up. The two daughters they're like one scene, like there's the something's behind the door, door's not opening. There's something on top of the dresser. All these scenes.
Oh
scary.
My God,
scary.
There is some scary stuff where she's just screaming. It's behind the door, and her sister's standing right there. I don't see anything, and then it flashes. You see what's right, and you're like, oh!
And the door slams. Bam. Oh God.
This is a fantastic ghost story.
It really is great. Good. Before they even really bring in the Warrens. So they eventually, luckily, they live within driving distance. The Warrens teach a class, I don't know, that you can audit down at the New England School of Demonology or whatever it is.
And Resurrection or whatever. And the Ouija school.
Pretty much. So they're like, and Ed's like, I don't know. We just want to get home, spend some time with our daughter. Because evidently, the last time they got involved in something, they had to do an exorcism. And something happened to Lorraine. Like she saw something and scared her. She touched something. I don't know. She's kind of a psychic or a medium or something.
Yeah, she's supposed to be like the medium.
Right. He's the trained, quote unquote, demonologist. And she's the medium.
Right.
So she's like, no, Ed, we got to go help these people kind of thing. So they arrive.
That's why the Lord brought us together.
This is why Jesus brought us together, Ed, to help these people from demons and things.
Why doesn't Jesus just get rid of the demons?
What? The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Mysterious.
There it is. So they go down there, and then 5 seconds later, they're like, "Oh yeah, I can see your aura." And there's the scary aura is already attaching itself to you. So we're gonna have to do the full Megillah. We have to apply for an exorcism. First we have to show evidence of the exorcism. We're putting pictures all over the place, or cameras set up to whenever there's like a cold something. And then
there's cold spots.
Like because there's a point where the sleepwalking daughter's walking through the house, and there's evidently the ghost
keeps trying to get into the wardrobe with the Lion and the Witch.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is like they do all this research, and they're like, oh, well, 300 years ago, a witch, an actual witch, not one of the fake ones that were killed in the Salem witch trials, but a real one. She named Bathsheba Sherman. She lived here and tried to sacrifice her newborn child, and then hung herself after cursing the property, basically. And
she got busted by her husband sacrificing the child.
That's what it was. So basically,
witch.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of on board with that at that stage. If you're saying
Yes.
that's not a willy-nilly accusation. At that point, okay, I can see where you jumped to this conclusion. But over the years since this witch committed suicide, like there have been a bunch of different occasions where it's essentially somebody, a caregiver, goes nuts and murders their child. This has happened several times. And of course, all these ghosts still live in the house, right? There's the little boy Rory, who's playing the clapping game.
Right.
He died. There was.
So these are all her sacrifices to the Dark Lord.
Well, that's basically what it is what you discover, is that this witch, who you do see jump off the dresser and jump on the little girl at one point, she, over the years, has been possessing these women.
Why do these witches always kind of look like Carol Kane?
That's the model. That's what they go for. Poor old Carol
From
Kane.
the Princess Bride.
Exactly. And possessing these people and then making them sacrifice whoever they were supposed to take care of.
Right.
Which was a scary thing, as you might imagine. So, they go and say to the local Catholic Church, here's the evidence. Hey, what do you say? Can we get an exorcism up in here? They're like, well, we'll let you know. We'll say, I'll put
it has to go to the Pope.
It's got to go to the Pope. They don't want people doing all sorts of exorcisms willy-nilly. But there's that scene, because for some reason they have you have Ed and Lorraine, and then you have their graduate assistant helping out. And then they have an off-duty cop hanging out there. I don't know what he's supposed to do. He's got a gun on his hip.
I honestly don't even remember how he got involved, but whatever.
Evidently,
you probably don't want to bring firearms in when there's possessions abound. Around, And
there's a lot of jump scares, those kind of things, where he's like, you see somebody run, like a shape run to the side. He's, the cop is walking down the hall going, what's that? And then the crazy dead ghost nurse comes out with her wrist slit. Look what you made me do. That was pretty creepy too.
Yes.
There's a lot of those scenes.
I'd be all peace in the Middle East. I am out of here.
For real.
You folks are on your freaking own. I don't know what you did in a past life to cause this to happen, but you need to repent, man.
You're on your own.
Go to church. Go find Jesus. I don't know.
If there are really ghosts out there, count me as a part of the group that says, I just don't want to know. Don't want to know. Leave me out of it.
What if they're not really jacked up and are just coming to tell you there's buried treasure in your yard? That'd be okay.
They can leave me a note. Okay? Send me an email.
What if the note is in the mirror in the bathroom and it's being written while you stand there?
That would be bad. I would not like that. What if
it was not like that either?
What if it was written in human flesh and blood? No
flesh
thanks.
For fantasy.
No thanks.
No, pass.
Oh, sweet Jesus. So at this point, Lily Taylor is now possessed. She's becoming more and more possessed as the movie
I already told you. I
progresses.
think she already was.
She's been just
depressed, possessed,
whatever it takes. Because the witch woman basically barfed into her mouth. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, now that's like the Babadook.
It was a gross
Someone
moment.
needs to barf into you, and then you unpossess yourself by getting bulimic and barfing it back out.
Pretty much.
Barf out your possession.
So she grabs the two daughters and is preparing to sacrifice them in the house, essentially.
Right.
They literally try to grab her. Ed and his two helpers try to physically take her out of the house to drag her to the church to do the exorcism. And it's weird welts and bruises start appearing all over her body as they're trying to pull her across the threshold.
Right. The witch is not letting her go. But Mrs. Warren announced that she'll die if they bring her through the threshold.
Right. So Ed, you're going to have to do it. But I've only assisted on a couple of these bad boys. Sorry. You got to handle it, bro. But
Yeah.
it's not all fun and games. You know what I'm saying? If you do it
I
wrong,
always thought an exorcism would be so much fun. I mean, isn't that what Hollywood taught us?
that's what we learned the hard ways back in the 70s. That's how we do.
You know, I didn't I tell you that our local priest has gone to Rome for exorcism training.
Is that true?
It is absolutely true.
How did you learn that? Were you
Because
possessed?
I know people who know.
I guess so. My lord.
Uh-huh.
You know, the word on the street. Okay, got you.
I know people who know stuff.
So Lorraine Warren finds a little crawl space hidden away behind the dresser.
I don't want to find hidden crawl spaces. In fact, when I need you to come to my house, and I have a raised sub, or where is it? I don't have a concrete slab. I have a crawl space under my house. I'm gonna need you to get under there and make sure there's no, open graves or anything in there.
Even if it's just normal stuff, it's still gross and hideous. There's going to be a dead cat under there. There's going to be bugs, a raccoon.
I just don't want that. I don't want to find out later that like there was like a crazy clown that lived here and did a Gacy underneath my floorboards. I need someone to dig around and find out. I need an exorcism.
Oh, it is Bakersfield.
I know I'm scaring myself.
You should be afraid. Sweet Jesus. So she falls, she climbs into the crawl space and literally crashes through and drops all the way down to the basement. And while she's down there, sees a bunch of scary ghosts down there, And it's that thing where it's like, oh God, that music box. The crazy music box where it's like, if you open up the music box, there's a little mirror in there and you crank it up. If you look at the reflection, you'll see the ghost appear behind you.
Yeah, that's terrible.
They did that a couple times.
Yeah.
They did that. Oh God, that was awful. It's like, if you see the music box, I ain't touching it. I'm not messing with that damn music box.
No,
leave me out of it.
It's like the puzzle box from the Cenobite movies. I'm like, no, don't solve that. Don't touch it.
Don't do it.
That's an advanced Rubik's cube that you don't want the solve the riddle to. No.
And we didn't even talk about how while they're over here helping the Perrin family, I guess is their name.
Yes.
Their daughter is basically home alone, where the Warrens have like a museum in their own house, where it's like their guest room is basically set up with all the crazy, scary stuff that they've taken from all the other like exorcisms and hauntings or whatever.
And this is a real thing. While they were still alive, they had a museum where you could go and see this jacked up stuff.
I think you can still go now. I think it's like a son-in-law curates it as well.
I Googled it and I thought it said it was permanently closed, but maybe they've redone it.
Maybe. But so, of course, the daughter's home alone. The grandmother's supposed to be watching her, but of course, she's asleep at the wheel. And the little Annabelle doll is terrorizing the daughter.
Okay,
so that's
first
good.
of all, if you've got a room of possessed shit, shouldn't you padlock that door?
Well, they locked it, but how about this?
No, that little girl keeps breaking in there. She needs a spanking.
She gets what she gets.
Daddy, are you in the possessed room that you've told me never to enter?
Look, I might get a storage container for that stuff. I'm not having it 10 feet from where I sleep.
No.
Call me crazy.
Ridiculous. But that little girl needs to be punished.
She should be locked in a case as well. Handle it. Put her right next to Annabelle.
Annabelle's your babysitter now.
Pretty much. So, cut to the chase. They do the exorcism. Everything turns out fine. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
They do some read some Latin text. I don't know what it says. It could just be prescriptions for all sorts of ancient New England plants and herbs. For all I know, good times.
Exactly.
So, what other observations from The Conjuring would you like to share?
Oh. My stuff is more behind the scenes. Allow me to get my book out here. That
Your book,
I have a book where I write special notes down.
the
And
Necronomicon.
I have my own Necronomicon. I
Good story.
literally wrote down here my second note. Lily Taylor, what's up?
What up with that? What up with that?
And I love Mrs. Warren's polyester pantsuit. Her mom's suit is so Hillary Clinton. It was amazing.
That was a good look. Yeah, Ed Warren, 50s little flip there, like he was Fabian or somebody.
Fantastic. I noticed there was a nod to Poltergeist with the TV on static in one of the rooms.
Yep, absolutely.
The Warrens in their car have like a rosary hanging from the rear view, which is very funny because my friends gave me a rosary, but it was called G-Force Jesus. Mm-hmm. So instead of Jesus hanging on the cross, he's holding the cross beams with his legs sticking out like I'm driving so fast it's blowing him off the cross. G-Force Jesus, just so you wanted to know.
That sounds like blasphemy, by the way, but
continue. Oh my God! I can't read my hand. The sheet that takes. Well, she's out hanging the laundry.
Yes.
Oh my God! And the sheet gets snatched away from her, and it blows over this invisible shape of a human form, and then it blows away and goes up to the window, and that's where the little demon baby boy is up there. Yep. Oh my God, that was fantastic.
Let's see. Dynamite.
That was a great couple of shots. Once again, I'm complaining that there's no locks on the Demon Museum.
Right, that's a bad move.
All right, the rest of my notes are behind the scenes.
Well, let's go right to behind the scenes. Hit me.
All right. Well, the Warrens are generally discredited.
Right. They were also basically showed up at these people's doorstep and were shown the door because they couldn't help.
Right. No, basically, if you said something was possessed, oh yes, it's possessed. And I did look up, until the movie The Exorcist came out, the Warrens never mentioned demonic possession. There was haunting and there was spirits. Once The Exorcist came out and everybody was worried about demonic possession, that's when they started focusing on demonic possessions.
Right. Right.
They were at Amityville and declared it absolutely true, even though the family that lived there and the author of the book have all decided they all got drunk one night and made all these stories up.
That's true. The Lutz family came out and said, yeah, we got drunk and made it up.
We were in over our heads in this house. And we needed to do something because we were broke and we couldn't afford this house. Lorraine, who says she's a medium. You know the Amazing Randy?
I do not, by the way.
All right. The Amazing Randy is I'm going to say a musician.
He's a magician.
He's a mathematician. A mathematician, and but he's one of those debunker dudes too. So The Amazing Randy has the Amazing Randy Challenge, where he will pay $1 million if you can prove your psychic ability. And one time Lorraine was doing one of her workshops where they talk about all their ghost hunting and stuff, and a bunch of people tried to interview her. Why don't you take the Amazing Randy Challenge? And she got very upset and refused to discuss it. So I don't know if the Amazing Randy's still alive, but he did all these series of shows going after Uri Geller.
Right. He bent spoons.
Yeah, he was the Russian spoon bender dude. And, all these different people who travel all over. And everybody, like I said, $1 million. Prove me wrong, $1 million.
Well, it's like Houdini. Houdini did a lot of tricks and obviously escape artists, things like that. But he was basically like, I'm doing tricks. There's no real magic.
I'm not a witch. I'm not a demon or anything.
Right. It's
these are skilled tricks. Yes.
Right. So yeah, he was a big debunker as well for the same reason. Because well, Harry Houdini, going off on a tangent, people were taking advantage of these superstitious people. Like if
Uh-huh.
somebody like had a loved one die recently, these frauds would pop up and be like, "Oh, I can communicate with your dad. Just write me a check," kind of thing. So he,
Mysticism was all the
yeah,
rage during that time.
absolutely,
I think I read something about Queen Victoria was reaching out to Albert. Well, the great thing Houdini said, if he could, when he died, he would signal. So during his widow's, like, what was it, every Halloween
right.
that
They
they
do a
would get
séance.
together and try to contact him, and it never happened.
I think he told her, "Here's the code word.
Yeah,
If
like
it's
a
really
code
me,
word.
I
Yeah.
will say this word." And nope,
It no,
they never were able to do it.
which is
He said, "I'm going
which
to
is
really
kind of
try."
upsetting. I kind of
Right.
wish that I was like, ooh,
He said, "I'm going to really try," because he was a debunker of all this stuff. He's like, "If
yeah.
it's real, I will try, and we'll see what we can do." And nope, no can do.
Mm.
Um, what else? Okay, so the real Parent family visited the set. The real Lorraine Warren actually has a cameo in it as one of the people attending the lecture that they're giving. If you can imagine that, yeah.
Oh, I gotta go rewatch it now.
Go
Except then
watch it again.
I have to pay another $4.
Do not do it. Just buy it, like I did.
Frickin'
Uh,
Amazon.
so 8 generations of families lived and died in that house before the parents moved in. 8 deaths included 2 documented suicides, a poisoning death, murder of 11-year-old girl, 2 drownings, and the passing of 4 men who froze to death.
All
So
right.
there you go.
So let's figure that out. So the 8 generations. So
8.
a generation is 30 years.
It's not an exact amount of time. It's just how long it
No,
takes
no,
you
no.
to be born and have
They
another
count a
child.
generation as a certain number of years. I think it's considered 30 years.
But that
So
okay.
what's 30 times 8?
30 times 8 is
I can't do
240
math.
years.
So people have lived there for 240 years, and only 8
Uh,
people died.
yeah.
Okay,
So
not so scary.
and most of them were occurred within one family, like the Arnold family, from which Bathsheba Sherman was descended. So there you have it. This film, and we talked about this earlier, has like no sex, nudity, little profanity, tame and mostly bloodless violence, brief depictions of alcohol, and no smoking. Yet it received an R rating. It was solely for the scare factor alone. And when they went and kind of protested it, they're basically like, "This movie's so scary that there's literally nothing you could do to change it to a PG-13. There's nothing you. It is just. It's too creepy. It's too scary without, even though it has none of that other stuff that you typically think of." So there you have
I
it.
like that. I like that
Yeah.
because it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
Right. It's old
I
school.
mean, it's old. It's just a solid, scary tale. I mean, if the story called for it, whatever. But these people are all claiming to be super Christian and all that.
Sister Christian.
Sister Christian, no. Now, they did try to interview people from the Catholic Church because Ed claimed to be the only lay person approved by the Catholic Church to do exorcism, and they would make no comment,
So what do you think
which
that means?
is kind of a comment in itself.
Well, the Catholic Church often doesn't comment on things, if you know what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, I'm watching the new Pope, so yeah.
And the old Pope
and the old Pope. I love it's so wrong. It's so very wrong.
We won't be discussing that. The state of Rhode Island, where this house existed, does not have a law requiring home sellers to tell people about demonic possession or hauntings or prior criminal activity. So that's why the family were able to buy it cheap and no one had to tell them.
Oh, well, I know California has something like that, but I wonder if they had it in 72. When were those kind of disclosure laws required?
It literally just depends on the state.
All right.
It totally just depends on the state. So there you have it.
Would you pause if someone told you that that a house you were looking at that the people who are moving out believe there's it's haunted. I mean, not that it's bleeding blood through the walls or anything, or there's Jody the pig is looking through the window, but that they feel that it's haunted.
What's funny is when I bought my first condo, my roommate at the time was just like, "Oh no, I feel something in this place," because like an
Is
older
this your
woman,
Long Beach condo?
Long Beach condo, an older woman lived there, and I guess had died, and that's why it was available. Now, what I think she died in the hospital. I don't think
Yes.
she was, she was 92 or whatever. It wasn't there
Yeah.
was no axe
Yeah.
murder or
She
anything.
didn't jump off the patio.
No, the only thing that was terrifying is the fact that it was located in the greater Long Beach area. So there you have it. Good times. Any other interesting thoughts and feelings before we move on with our lives?
Well, there's another Conjuring movie, The Enfield.
Yep.
Is it The Enfield Haunting, which was
Well,
also
that's
good.
Conjuring 2. That's the second Conjuring movie.
And there's a Conjuring 3 coming out this year.
That's correct. Well, it's a whole universe. It's like you got the Conjuring 2, you got Annabelle Creation, you've got The Nun that came out, which is the spin-off
I'm not
from,
watching these lesser
Conjuring 2.
No, I'm not watching these lesser Conjuring.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear it.
Did you see The Nun?
No.
Exactly.
I've only seen Conjuring, but I liked it enough that I kind of want at least I want to see Conjuring 2 before I move on.
Okay, well then we'll record that because it's good.
It's
also good. Yes, I saw it at the theater. I dragged Heather, who hates horror movies, but like I said, traditionally women don't like horror movies. So I have one friend who's absolutely terrified of anything strange, so she won't go at all. And then Heather, who doesn't like horror movies, but I force her to go with me anyway.
There's like nobody around that will go see horror movies with me.
It's very sad.
I have to sit in a dark room with my
crying.
Crying.
No, the second one, and I believe the Enfield one also, they complained about the Warrens showing up too. Nobody wants the Warrens hanging around.
Well, that's what's funny. In this day with the internet, you can Google and find out about all this stuff, and it's always revealed to be a hoax. And it's always revealed to the Warrens popping up, and people are going, "We get the hell out of here and leave us alone."
Exactly. We got real people over here trying to take care of business. Oh my God! And then I read this thing about the Warrens that he had some 15-year-old move in with him and lived there for 4 decades with him.
How long did she say 15 though?
She was 15, and he moved her in
just for the first year though.
No, for 4 decades.
Well,
they were together, having with their sex farm before she finally moved out.
When she was 55.
Exactly. She was complaining about. I think they had a child together
with their sex farm. Interesting.
and that contrary to this loving and devoted couple, he was a bit of a drinker. And could get physically violent too.
So that explains the bruises as well. So there you have it.
Lily Taylor enrages everyone.
You put some bruises on her as well. Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh my God, she drives me crazy. Now, what about? Why do I know the dude who plays Ed?
Patrick Wilson.
Yes,
he's been in a ton of stuff. He was in, like you were saying, he was in the Insidious movies.
Is he only in horror movies now?
He's in Watchmen. He was in.
No, I never saw that.
What the heck? Children of what's that movie called?
A Lesser God.
No, not called Little Children. It was nominated.
No, I don't know.
He's been in a ton of stuff.
I love her. She is fan-frickin-tastic, and she was amazing in Bates Motel.
Vera Farmiga also was in Up in the Air. She was in The Departed. She's been in stuff.
She was in The Departed?
Yep.
Did I tell you in The Departed, I didn't realize that Matt Damon and what's his name were different people.
You didn't know Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio were different people?
I thought they were the same person. I was so confused the first time I saw that movie. I thought it was one person, but with their life had gone in two different directions.
So it's like Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow? Is that
Exactly. I had to watch it the second time to realize those were two different actors.
I think you're out of your GD mind.
Isn't that
What is
crazy?
wrong with you? Do you have face blindness? What is wrong with you?
I have DiCapriitis.
I guess so. Sweet Okay, and on that note, thank you for joining us. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Email us at thepodcastthatwouldn'tdie@gmail. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Like, share, subscribe, and rate if you would be so kind. And Aaron is the Cult of Aaron on Twitter.
The Cult of Aaron on Twitter. Write to us at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Did I say there's dots between every one of those words?
I don't know what you said.
Or is it underscore?
I have face blindness. Anywho, so thank you for joining us and be well.
Later, skaters. Oh, no, The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. All one word. I was at least somewhat smart with that.